seeing it on YouTube yet.
Okay, the live just came up. I'm waiting for Jordy to wave at me. And she's waving at me. That means we're live. But like I said, I'm going to waste 15 seconds. Even though she says not to. Because when I record it, when I get the recording the next morning, she sends me the recording. But if she forgets, then I have to download it from YouTube. And if I download it from YouTube, that 15-second delay is out and the intro's gone. So
all right. I see everybody talking now.
Okay, about to go. Here we go. Good evening and welcome to the TalkWrite podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Stennett, and no, you're not seeing double. I'm on vacation in Destin, Florida, and Eric Stone, singer, songwriter, and author, lives just right down the beach, so he agreed to be on the show with us. And we're going to be talking to the shameless authors. Now, that sounds really cool. I don't know about you guys, but I like it. Nick, why don't you take over?
All righty. So we have the third of what we're calling the Less is More tropical authors novels, Shameless. And this one was written by Douglas Pratt, Chris Niles, Stephen Becker, and David Behrens. David doesn't have an image here, so you'll just hear his mellifluous tones periodically. But all four of them are marvelous authors.
Good word.
And we will be asking each of you a little bit about what you do a little bit later. First, I sort of want to have one of you, and you guys are going to have to fight over it, but just give us a little bit about what Shameless is about without spoiling any of the marvelous twists.
Douglas, go for it.
Dave started it, so that's fine. Shameless actually follows Harvey Thackerson, who is a kind of retired gentleman from up north who is searching for his daughter, and his adopted daughter is, and it's kind of, she's gone missing, and he's following her trail down to the South Florida, really, in the Keys, and that's where it kind of picks up. And when he gets, starts off meeting Troy, and we just kind of jump through each of our worlds as we help him and his daughter reunite. So,
well, let me ask. I read this and I really enjoyed how each of you would take over and basically have to spend the first chapter of your section dealing with other people's characters, and you did quite well. But how did you come up with? Because there's some stuff in this that obviously had to be known from the very beginning, even though it's not revealed until later. So how did you work this out? Did somebody come up with everything, or did you all have a pitch session?
Before we get into that, I want to let everybody know that because we're on vacation, we're not in my soundproof studio. And our little dog is over there. You might have heard her bark. And Richard's in the kitchen cooking fish tacos. So you may hear some skillet sounds and stuff. So just ignore that. Okay, go ahead with the question again.
Well, and I'm hearing my dog right now pawing her bowl, even though I've already fed her. So yeah, what I want to know, there's some marvelous stuff hidden in this book, but it doesn't come out till later the way it should in a good book. How did you come up with where this was going to go? Because I can't imagine this was two seat of your pants. This had to have been crafted from the beginning.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's me. So I cheated. I took the lead and said, you know what, I'm gonna write the first part, and that way I don't have to worry about any of the other stuff. I got to hand it off, and they'll be responsible for it.
Yeah, we knew that too.
Yeah,
we noticed that.
I was very transparent about it, but yeah, no. So I sort of just wrote a treat. It's kind of a treatment of what I wanted to do, and it had no bearing on plot or where it was going or anything. I just planted some seeds, and then I passed it off to those guys, and then we said, look, we're going to have to get together and talk about this so that when we do hand it off, it'll actually make sense, and it'll be good for each of our characters to dive into this world. And so we knew that we would have a thread of a single character that would, sort of travel through the Keys and through South Florida and sort of bump into our characters that we brought to the world. And I think we got on a couple of Zoom calls and just hammered out details and said, okay, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And through the drafting process, we all got onto Slack and said, hey, I ran into a road bump. What if this happens? Or, that won't work. What if this happens? So it was just kind of an iterative process. After we had like a little skeleton of an outline together, we really hammered it out working with each other.
Right. Yeah, and I'll say that there were still some moments, and I mean, I'm a planner and an outliner, but as I was writing, the thought was in the back of my head because I took the second baton. So Dave passed it off to me. And then I sat and thought, how can I make things more difficult for Douglas and Steve? So what can I leave them that will make it hard for them to get out of? Because I want to see them get out.
I think that's what Nick and who else was in that?
Well, Nicholas Harvey's the one that went, let's start with a flashback. Are you listening, Nicholas? Let's hit
so.
4 authors with 2 timelines.
Yeah, when it got to me, I mean, whoever's the first batter, they got it easy. They just make up their part of the story, and it's up to everybody else to tie it in. But then whoever's last, like I was in both books, has to bring all those loose threads together at the end. It's really fun, though. I enjoyed doing it.
Well, Steve did a good job pulling us in at the end there, so tying it all up.
Great job of that.
Stephen, I want to ask. This is a question for everybody, but I particularly noticed it with you because there was a suggestion. I know someone that can help you in Key Largo, and I'm like, wait, that's not where Mac Travis is. So what I want to know is there were a lot of ancillary characters in all of your, but maybe less so, David, in with Troy. But the other ones, there are all these bartenders and PIs, and I was like, are these ancillary characters created for this book, or were you all bringing in secondary background characters from your series as well?
Well, for mine, it was from my other series. The Key Largo people are the Mako Storm series.
Oh.
Okay.
And it was hard getting from Douglas's characters in Palm Beach down to Big Pine to end it in Marathon. So we kind of agreed on Stiltsville, this derelict offshore community off of Miami, as a transfer point. And Douglas was like, yeah, I always wanted to blow something up there. So that works for me.
I will blow anything up where.
So we kind of agreed on that. And then it was easy to take Kurt Hunter, who is a Biscayne Bay Ranger, and move it on down south to Mac Travis.
Right. So you had 3 of your series. All 3.
Yeah, I used 3 characters from 3 of my series.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought about having Zombie Bigfoot and Timeless, but it just didn't fit. I have to get all the way from Idaho. Well, I got to say, the name of this book is Shameless, and I won't spoil it, but you found a way to have that name really be important to it, and I thought that was brilliant. There's a lot of boats in this. Are you all boaters?
Yes.
I am not. I am a wannabe boater.
Yeah, boat's right here.
I got to hook up.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Oh, they still my heart.
Kind of has a cover on it, but it's right here.
Is Chase's boat based on yours, Doug, or is that the boat you aspire to?
Well, it's neither. It's a different boat, but it's.
The boat broke Doug.
It's kind of.
Oh, there we go. Little internet lag there. We didn't hear the answer.
Oh, okay. Oh, I said, well, it's a little bit. Chase is a little bit bigger than one I own, so I'd like to have that. But his is probably a little bit older boat too. I mean, he also came out of the Marines, so he's not loaded. He just bought a boat and wanted to live a simple life. So that's kind of the route he took. So
yeah, and I am boat adjacent. I've always, I've always lived a little bit more inland, but my little brother has been sailing independently since I think he was 11. And like he completely redid a sailboat when he was in middle school. And so I used to have to take him on boat trips, and I would just kind of sit on the boat while he ran the boat. And then he got his captain's license when he was 18. He ran charters while he was in college. And so I use him for all of my boating details.
Oh, very cool.
So I live.
By the way, shout out to Kimberly Benshaddle. She passed her captain's test. She is now a 6-pack captain.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yay!
Excellent. We have Nicholas
Sure.
Harvey and Kirk Jockle are listening in.
Hey, guys.
We have no questions from the readership apart from all the characters have weird names. How did that happen? Big winky face. So we'll leave
I
that.
think that's pretty common with all writers. When I go to create a new character, I don't look for any Smiths or Joneses. I look for the names that are going to pop. They're going to stand out. How about?
Well, Dave gave us all these names, so.
Let's see. Well, Wayne, I don't want to monopolize thing. What do you got over there?
I'm blind, dude. I can't see. Even if I were to put on the good glasses and I hold my phone way up here, I wouldn't be able to read anything. Eric, you got any questions?
Well, this is the second book, right?
This is the third one.
Oh, the third. Okay. So who came up with the idea for the first?
Nick Harvey. Redneck.
It was Nick. Okay.
For the first two, while we were doing this on the show for the first one, he said, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to write a second one, and I've already got the first part of it done." Cool.
That's how he does it. He takes it first. So yeah. So Nick asked, Nick did ask us what our body count was.
It was high.
Ooh.
It was high.
High.
There was a lot of action in this book. You like action?
Oh,
Go
cool.
get Shameless.
Yes, we think we killed a lot of.
Yeah, there was one point I was
shot
like,
a lot
how
of people,
many?
but I don't know that I killed that many.
I don't know if you killed any over there,
I
Chris,
shot
but
him
I
up.
made up for it. Steve make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
We set them up and they shot them down.
Yeah.
There would have been brass casings everywhere. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there was like at one point an exposition scene in a limo, and then all of a sudden some bad guys show up and they get mowed down, and then all right, so what were we talking about? It just sort of continued on. I'm like, there's dead people. It was, oh my God, it was so much fun.
Well, that's the way these books, these collaborations should go, I think. I mean, just nonstop action, start to finish. I know Graceless was.
Let me ask about, so have any of you listened to the audiobook? Because we've got Paul McSorley who narrated this. I've got one blogger who's midway through it, and he's like, I really like this guy. So I'm just curious, did you guys hear him? How is his Boston accent? Because I told David Behrens, keep that book away from me. Your main character's from Boston, and you mention it a lot. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that was intentional. We just figured we would keep it like that, so it'd be tough for our narrator down the line.
Did he do all right? Did anybody listen to it?
I listened to it. Yeah, I listened to it.
Okay.
We got our copies a little bit earlier on, and I was thoroughly impressed. Yeah,
Awesome.
I haven't worked with him before, but I think Steve, he does your books, right?
He does all of them, and I never
Yeah,
intended
yeah.
it for be that way. I always wanted somebody different for each series, so there was kind of a voice of each one. And through the audition process, he was always the best one for all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he did a bang up job. He did a great job with Shameless.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Nick won't do them, but
No, I hear that.
I'm too busy for you.
He's
I
like,
want I want
Here in
every one
Boston,
of these
he's
to
like,
have
"Nope."
different people. No, Boston is so hard. I always sound like I'm one of those terrible fake commercials.
I can only say one word with a Boston accent, and that's Boston.
Boston.
Boston. Park the car in Harvard Yard.
Pack the cat.
Yeah. I always end up sounding like the Kennedys. It's just not good. Not good at all.
Gotta go find Goodwill Hunting before you do your Boston.
Exactly. Just like when I have to do Chicago, I find that old SNL with Dub Bears. Just
Yeah.
listen to those guys.
Bears.
The Bears.
Dub Bears.
Do you have an announcement you want to make? No, you don't want to announce that?
About what, the new book? Or no, we're going to Mexico.
Yeah, going to Mexico.
Oh, no.
Yeah, go ahead and make it public.
Wait, let's hear it.
Okay. Okay, I'm moving to Mexico March 20th.
Oh.
Sweet.
For how
That's like a
long?
week away.
I
Wow.
was about to
Yeah,
say,
I know.
drop
Just
the bomb.
San Felipe, Mexico.
And congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, it should be pretty cool. I'm just gonna drive cross country and I got a gig booked on the 27th, so it better go smooth.
Are you
Nice.
bringing the bird?
No bird this time. That takes a little bit more,
Who's going to be taking care of your birds?
I got the person written my place.
Oh, okay. You're
Yeah.
going, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
A house that comes with birds.
Exactly.
How long are you going to be there?
That's open-ended right now, probably 6 or 8 months. Kind of playing it by ear.
Yeah, he found a little, what is it, one-bedroom casita,
Casita, yeah, for 300 a month
all
Oh,
included
wow.
Whoa.
on the beach.
on the beach.
Nice.
San Felipe
That's
is in the Baja.
nice.
It's very safe down there too. It's not like the mainland of Mexico, like you hear about on the news. It's not like that.
That's going to be awesome.
How far down Baja is it?
It's 2 hours from Calexico, so it's about 2 hours south of, the U.S. border. Calexico and Mexicali are the border state or border towns.
Okay.
120 miles, something like that.
Easy drive, double-sided or 4-lane highway. Perfect.
Is it Pacific side or Gulf side?
It's Cia Cortez.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah.
On the beach, on the sea.
Um,
You hear that, Jinx?
Out over there too. Yeah.
B for Bell says Shameless was great. Love the twist at the end. And she said she'll be reviewing. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
Please do so.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, here's a question. How did you guys get the name Shameless?
That's
Mm.
And then she asked a question that I can't ask because I think it might spoil something. How did you come up with
Go ahead.
Shameless?
Go ahead and ask anyway while they're answering.
Really? Okay, fine.
I think
The name doesn't sound like a stage name for a certain type of entertainment. I don't know. I thought it did. I thought it was a perfect stage name for that kind of entertainment.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
But given that you had the name, did you have the name Shameless before that though? And then you tied that into it?
didn't we have some other names and we just kind of found our way to shame?
Yeah, I think we when we went through a process where we had 3 or 4 and it just each one, didn't fit quite right. And we came upon Shameless and
They were
So we sort of-
inappropriate.
yeah.
Well, and I had the
super
club.
inappropriate.
I
Yeah,
already had the
exactly,
club in my
yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So
Chris kept
that
telling
made
us
it
that
really
we
easy.
had to be more appropriate.
Well, okay, since we've already spoiled that, I was curious if that club actually was in your books or whether it had been created for this.
Yeah, no, the
So-
club is in my world. The owner of the club is a pretty main side character in my series. Everybody in my section were, I think the bartender is the only person who was new in mine.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so everybody was even the dog.
All right, cool.
Allison Valentine is asking what everyone's working on at the moment. And I was planning on doing that. So let me go around here. Either what you're working on now, or maybe what you just finished and is out the door, and thank goodness, and you're not yet worrying about what you're working on next. Let's see. I'm going to go around the clock on my little pictures here. Doug, you just had a release, I believe.
Okay. Well, which was Havana Sunrise, which came out the day after Shameless because I planned things very poorly. It's doing very well. So it's actually the ninth in Chase Gordon series. So of course now that's out, I'm immediately working on the 10th. I also have I have a handful of projects right now. Are doing a book together called Missing in the Keys, which is going to be a whole new series, which has been a blast to do. Kind of like this one, it's just him and I throwing ideas back and forth, and a lot of it's just me trying to explain to him why we don't eat baked beans at breakfast. I don't know.
Oh,
It's
man,
big,
that's
you
good.
can't hear this, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah. So we had a little interruption,
And
hiccup in the
with-
internet. That's Nicholas Harvey is co-writing
Okay.
a series with Doug.
Yes. And Nick and
Yeah,
I
baked
also
beans
have
for breakfast.
we just started, with which is just us also telling him not to eat beans for breakfast and him explaining all sorts of British lingo.
Gotcha. All right, I'm going to move on. We didn't catch that. Doug and Nick have,
Okay.
have their own podcast. What's it called?
That's the two chat show.
Say it again, please. Two
Two
authors.
authors chat show. Yeah.
Two authors chat.
Chat show.
Okay.
Yes.
Steve, what are you working on now? Which of your 3 series, or is there a 4th?
I'm kind of in 3 of them, but I'm doing a release kind of to my newsletter people of a early Mac Travis book, and I'm doing 1 or 2 chapters every couple of weeks and releasing them just to my email list for free.
That's
and then
cool.
when it's done, I'll publish it. I'm not quite sure how it's working out because it might be hard to read broken up that much, but we'll see how it goes. And then I'm writing a Kurt Hunter mystery kind of based on one of our trips to Everglades City, where we had a run-in with a park ranger volunteer who I decided I need to kill. So that's worth a book.
That's one of the best things about our jobs, man.
If I don't
Somebody
like him, I
pisses
kill
you
him.
off, you just kill them.
That's right.
Chris, what are you up to right now?
Oh, you have an ulterior motive because you're waiting for what I'm working on right now. I am currently working on the second section of what is it, Faceless. So that one's due out in July or August, I think.
I think July.
Think so. Yeah, I'm working on my section of that. I've got the second leg again. And I am also working on the Shark Key Book 5, which is going to be called Lost Legend. And that one is based on a trip that we took to Belize last year. So that one's going to wrap all up at one of the Mayan ruins in Belize. And
Awesome.
super excited about that. But I've spent all last year working on a collaborative cozy mystery series. So I'm super excited to get back on the water.
Well, while I've still got you here, we actually have a question for you. Allison Valentine asks, Chris, do you find it difficult with working in such a male-dominated action writing environment?
Difficult
Really good
is
question.
the right word for it. I honestly, all of the men, it is a very male dominated genre. I will admit that. We've got a few really stellar women in the group as well, though. And I grew up with 4 brothers, so I'm used to being one of the guys. And so it really, everybody in this community has just been so supportive, and I have never felt less than or like I had to work harder. I think this community has just been so encouraging, regardless of gender. It's so awesome to be able to have a kick-ass female heroine that can run with the big boys.
And she definitely received and dished out quite a bit of damage in Shameless. So definitely. David, you're invisible, but we'd love to hear that voice.
I'm actually sitting here looking at the video settings, and my beautiful office is showing itself to me, but none of you can see it. I don't know why. So I am in the middle of a Troy Bodine book called Cayo Hueso, which is Key West, and it's basically the same old Troy Bodine hijinks. And I am working on a co-writing project with someone who I can't name just yet, but it's a pretty big deal for me. So that and a lot of cover design all the time, every day.
David, your cover designs are great. Did
Yeah,
a really
thank
good
you.
job. Really
Thank you,
nice.
Stephen. Thank you.
yeah. If anyone is watching this, go check out Don Rich's new covers, and you'll see an example. And are you doing
Really
Kurt
good.
Jockle as well?
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, Kurt's
Yeah,
new
those are
ones,
great.
Yeah, Kurt.
and a couple of John
Good.
Cunningham's new ones are redoing some of his covers for him too. Yeah.
Excellent.
So what are you working on now, Nick?
Yeah.
I just got Deep Hex out the door. It's releasing March 28th. I
And
probably
see
could release
Zombie
it now,
Bigfoot
but
2 in
I
the
wanted.
notes back there.
What's that? Oh, yeah. Well, that actually there is the Zombie Bigfoot 2. Yes, that's on my list. But first, Faceless. So yeah, Deep Hex is what I'm doing now. I'm recording a 24-hour-long Southern satire right now by Michael Malone. And I've got a sci-fi to record and Faceless to write and Zombie Bigfoots to think about.
What about you, Eric?
Well, March 31st, my 7th novel, African Waters, will be released. March 31st. And I'm working on the 8th novel, which is Deep Waters. And at the same time, a new series, Paranormal Private Detective. He's a kid in the first book, and then he lives in a haunted house. And as the book goes on, he realizes he's pretty good at this, turns his haunted experience into a vocation. So I don't have a release date. I think it's going to be like June or something like that.
Oh, that's real cool. Two
Yeah.
different genres.
Plus a lot of live performance music still.
Yes.
I'm a musician first.
Yeah, we went and saw Eric playing Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday night.
Yeah.
And we were only there for a few songs, but it was good to hear you singing again.
Yeah.
As soon as I walked in the door, I said, I know that song. Right now, I'm working on Fish On was just released. It was released the same day as Shameless. And right now I'm working on Liable Charity, which will bring the resolution of the cliffhanger in Fish On. And I'm also working on the next Jesse book, which is Weigh Anchor, which will be November. Well, Liable Charity is July 1st. Weigh Anchor will be November 1st. And also on November 1st, the first book in a brand new series with Jesse McDermott as a much younger man. In this book, he's 17 years old. So I'm get to write like a kid again. That's really cool.
That is cool.
I'm also doing a collaboration with the owner of my gym. We're doing a nonfiction on fitness and health. And I'm doing it, well, the Liable Charity is also a collaboration I'm doing with Kimberly Benshottle. And at some point, sometime this summer, hopefully the 7th book in the Less is More series, or is it the 6th, which will be Ruthless, if I can ever nail a certain person down to write it with us. And if you're watching, you know who you are. Call me, damn it.
I tell you what, it's 7:02, but we started a little late. I'll ask a question because we have all these folks here, and I think most of you have one. I'm going to explain to our viewers the concept of the reader magnet. And a reader magnet is usually either a long short story or a novella length book, often a prequel, but it's something you give away for free to get folks to sign up to your newsletter. So I have a question for our folks here. Reader magnets, do you find them extremely valuable? If you don't write a lot, is it still more valuable than simply writing something and putting them out the book? You know, what do you think about reader magnets?
Steve, you're working on that now, aren't you?
I've had a couple of them. I wrote a prequel to the Mac Travis series years ago that I give away. And I packaged the first in the series of 3 of them that I give away also. I have no idea whether it works or not. My mailing list grows, it stays the same, it grows more, it drops. But I think you just have to stay out there and do stuff. I'm not one for numbers. I can't keep track of stuff like Wayne does. That drives me. I see his face post and it's like, wow, that's a whole nother job.
It actually is. I mean, it takes a big chunk of my day.
It does. I know. I've done it for other businesses, but I just like to write, so I just do it.
Well, Chris, you are one of the best I know with the newsletters, and I know you've got a prequel magnet.
Yeah.
What do you think about them?
I love
Yes?
them. And I'm one of those types of people who really likes to overcomplicate things. So I've got Lost Palm, which is a prequel to Lost Key. It's a shorter one. I think the audio for it is maybe an hour and a half. But I do have it in audio as well. It was relatively inexpensive to produce and has been fantastic in terms of drawing people in for audiobook sales as well. And what I use it a lot. I use my magnet for outreach a lot. I still love the people who come in from, they find a book, whether it's recommended from somebody or they find it on Amazon, whatever, they read the first book, they come in, they can pick up the prequel for free. But I also use that prequel in a lot of giveaway bundles to find new readers. And what I do is when they come onto my list from each of those places, they actually get welcomed a little bit differently, because somebody who's coming in who doesn't know me from Adam will start reading that, and then I can introduce them a little bit to what is my series, what I send them to tropicalauthors.com. I start introducing them to the genre as a whole. If it's somebody who's already read the first book, then they already know and love the characters, and they can kind of jump in the deep water with me right away. So the people who pick it up off of the free bundles, I make them jump through a few hoops to actually get on the main VIP list, so that then my VIP list is still the people who really, really are invested in my books and in our world, and are going to be much more likely to want to read the same types of things I'm reading. So they respond to, book recommendations and things like that. And the people who are just looking for a free book, I love those people too. I love free books, but they then go into a list where I share all of the free bundles that I'm in. So it works out really well keeping those separate.
Wow. All right. I'll hire you. Doug, do you have a magnet?
I do. Yeah. I just have it's not a per se, it's just a short story that follows Chase. I have one kind of a prequel for my other series, my Max Sawyer series, that but I haven't been giving it out much. It's still listed up there somewhere on Book Funnel, so I give a few out. But the one I have now was just a short story. But I'm trying something new because I've been translating. I've got 3 books, and so I'm trying to build an audience in a newsletter in Germany with reader magnets as well. So rather than be translating things, which is kind of difficult because I don't speak your next book. So I'm giving them several different options to load at the end to make moving on. So
yeah. And David, let me get you in. Do you have a magnet?
Yeah, I actually have. I do give away a Troy Bodine magnet, and then I have a sequence, an email sequence inspired by Chris, actually, that leaks out, various parts of other series that I have. So I do, short sort of previews or, a couple of chapters of different books. And it sort of depends on where they came from. So, if they got onto my list from, an ad or something that was targeting Troy, then they get a lot of Troy stuff. If they come in through another way where they're looking at, Ryan Bodine, who's Troy's brother, then they get, they get a little preview of his first book and so on. So I try to customize it. I know mine is probably not nearly as sophisticated as Chris's, but I like that idea that each person is going to get something a little bit tailored to their taste.
I wrote Falling Out originally as a reader magnet, and it was the fourth book I wrote, and I made it book 1. But originally I was going to just make it perma-free and just give it away, but it did so well that I said, well, hell with it. I'll just let it It's earned like $140,000 now.
Well, that's the other
Good
part.
thing I didn't make it free.
That's right.
Well, Wayne, you want me to throw more questions, or we're at 7:09?
Nick,
got any questions
what
there?
about you? Nick, do you have a magnet?
I don't. That's why I'm asking the question.
Ah, okay.
I have been planning to do a prequel of when Boone Fisher leaves Florida and goes to Curacao. It ends in Bonaire, and the last chapter is when he meets Emily for the first time. And then I want to do a
that'd be
prequel
cool.
that follows Emily, ends with her in Bonaire, and then it's an identical chapter with the switched POV. And I would do Boone's book as a giveaway and Emily's for $1. Put it up.
That'd be a cool idea.
I know, but
So,
that means I won't have a regular deep book for 2 years the way I write. So that's my problem.
They don't have to be
Well,
full length though. That's the beauty of the cookies. is you
Yes.
Yeah.
Make them
yeah, I mean, you knocked out 20,000 words in both Graceless and Timeless in a matter of weeks.
That's because people are depending on me.
Yeah, your readers
Momo
do.
is depending on you.
Yeah, Momo needs the money for the food.
Momo needs some sausages.
Have any more questions on YouTube?
Well, we do, but it's a doozy. So I tell you what, one person answer this. Allison Valentine is asking, if you could write any book in history, which one would it be and why? And I'll let you tackle that any way you want. A version of a pre-existing literature or a book about something in history. Somebody give me one.
Ooh, that's a
Any
tough.
book in history.
Any book in history.
Would it be an income producing book or
Yeah.
a magnet?
Let's assume it does really well. Is there a period of history that you would love to write a book about if someone else did the research for you?
Oh, I like what Steve's doing. I like the old swashbuckling stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The last one
I
did
would go
was
with
one of
pirates too.
those-
What was that, Steve?
The last story I did in that series, the Tides of Fortune series, which takes place in like the 1820s to 1850. There's a fascinating thing about San Francisco, and I lived out there for 20 years. And a good part of that city is built on fill from abandoned ships that came for the gold rush. So where the Transamerican Pyramid
Wow.
was the original shoreline. Everything into the bay was filled and built around abandoned ships.
Wow.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know
I
that.
always thought that was fascinating, so I did the last book in that series on it.
I opened 2 of my books with old swashbuckling tales, and just doing the research was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
How they would speak, what the ship looked like, how it would act under sail and everything. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It turns out that every other word is bastard.
My third book was surrounding the theory of the Chinese treasure fleets actually crossing the Atlantic and arriving in the Caribbean about 80 years before Columbus did. And that was a fun one to research. And researching all of the Chinese were huge mariners in like the late 1300s, early 1400s. And that one was really fun to research.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I feel like we answered that rather well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'd just like to add, for financial purposes, I'd like to write the Bible. Best-selling book of all time.
Best-selling book of all
That's
time.
right.
Not for spiritual purposes, but for financial purposes.
Cash.
That kind of negates the purpose, so yeah.
Well, you asked.
Well, is that about it then?
I think so. I think yes.
Oh, great. Well, I want to thank y'all for being here. Usually I say you guys, but now we have Chris here. So thanks for everybody for being here. And Eric, thanks for stopping by. And we're going to dig into some fit blackened mahi tacos.
I can smell.
This mahi, he was swimming yesterday.
Nice.
It's that fresh. But anyway, thank you guys for being on here. I said it. Thank you all for being on here. And we'd like to thank our supporters, Aurora Publicity, Down on Press, Down on Publishing, TalkWrite is what we're on. Tropical Authors. I knew it started with a T. Tropical Authors, How Not to Sail, Pirate Radio, of course, and Bob Bitchin with not Cruising Outpost
Latitudes
anymore.
and attitudes again.
It's back to Cruising Outpost again?
No, latitudes and attitudes.
It's back to Latitudes and Attitudes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's everybody. I got them all this time. Jordy's giving me a thumbs up. Thank you all for being on with us. It's a lot of fun, as always. And the next show is April, sometime in April, the first Tuesday in April. And I think it's Hot Tropics, isn't it, Jordan? She's giving me an, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a Hot Tropics. So we'll be seeing all of y'all again next month, along with a whole bunch of others, I hope. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Good night, everybody.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for
Bye.
having us.
Bye.